Hey everybody, I'm back, Clay Obley here, and today we are going to look at the 2.5D head rotation that I just put in the RimWorld animation that I released for my Let's Play channel. So first off, if you haven't followed already the cartoon animation series that I did where I teach you how to rig a character in After Effects and then rig the face and animate the body and then put it in a scene, you need to check that out before you get into this. Because this will kind of play off the facial rigging tutorial, so you need to check that out first. So here's the example that I did. Now this example shows you the subtlety movement that you can have with your characters. The head can turn a little bit left and right. Let's go into After Effects and we'll check it out here. I have it somewhat pre-rendered here so you can see there's some slight parallaxing between the layers. The reason it's not 3D, if we go to a custom view here, we can see that once you rotate too much, you can start to see the layers. So 2.5D, if you don't know what exactly that means, it's just pushing 2D layers in 3D space. So taking a look what this is now, if you haven't already kind of figured out how to do it, I'm just going to break down what I did in the face. Also, I'm including a link to the project file in the description. Okay, so first off, let's go ahead and look down here at our layers. Let's go ahead and look at our face. So I started with the face and I pre-comped it because I did a couple of, did like the hair and the beard kind of thingies there. So if we go back to our main composition, this is the base layer that I played off of. It is at 0 Z depth. And from there, I just kind of extracted the different layers. So if I work backwards, let's go ahead and skip these ear lobes here. Let's go to the ears. I made another layer so I can see here where I did the top of the hair, some of the side face features. This is mainly just to fill in what you will see when you rotate the camera, so you can kind of see that stuff there, the ears, and then on top of the ears I made 2 earlobes, which you can kind of see they're barely pushed off, and let's go ahead and zoom in here. Right here, that's just to give the ear just a little bit more depth. So let's go ahead and continue on with, let's go ahead and solo this back hair. Let's zoom out so we can see back hair, and then I made another layer where I just darkened the color so that it gave it the back a little bit of a definition. So if we solo all these layers together, we have what is like the base and back of the head. And so there's a good degree that you can rotate before you start breaking the illusion. So you have to kind of just play around with that, but it does really help sell just a little bit more definition in your cartoon character. Alright, let's continue on. In the foreground we have the chin, which is a little bit further out from the face, and that's just to give it a little bit more subtlety, definition, and the parallax when the head rotates. If we continue on, we have the nose lower, so this would be like the nostril, and then the shadow around like the bridge of the nose. To better illustrate that, if we see the upper part, let's go ahead and zoom in here. If I just solo the nose layers together, so you can kind of see like the shadow on the upper part of the nose, and I kind of angled it down so that you know, it mimicked the arch of the nose. And now if I bring back the face, so you can see when I rotate that, you know, it gives the illusion that there's like depth there. And it helps here with the shadow kind of meshing with the shadow beneath it. So that is in essence the nose. And now let's take a look at, there's a couple other subtleties I added, like nose highlight is just a shape layer that I put on top of the nose to give it a little bit more. You can hardly see it, but it's a little bit lighter skin tone, and that's just to kind of bring out that highlight in the top of the nose. Then I added the eyebrows. I'm just going to zoom back out. Added the eyebrows and pushed those out in Z depth as well. And added the mouth shapes. So mouth shapes is just a pre-composition, and if you're familiar with the facial rigging tutorial, then you'll know how to go in here and then just make your mouth shapes into one layer, and that allows you to rig it later on. So we have that. If we go up to the next layer, is just cheeks highlights. That is just two shape layers that I put on the cheeks, and it's very hard to see, but any of the subtleties that you can add helps later on. And then the eyes also pushed out in Z depth, so you can see here a good illustration of kind of how everything looks in Z depth. Alright, so let's go back to our active camera and have a master null that I just brought into the head composition just to test. So I added a wiggle rotation to the orientation. This just allows me to see rotation to the head, which looks kind of cool. This is all in a composition, so you can bring it into your character's rig. Now this isn't a full rig, this is just my head, the head that I made attached to a 2D body for the cockpit scene, because I wasn't going to make it as, you know, overly complicated. So this brings up a good point. You will need to make sure that all of your layers in your rig are 3D. So this could potentially mess up any rig that you have already if you rigged it in as 2D layers, because inverse kinematics, or the DUIK script, requires that when you create a IK rig that they either must be all 2D layers or all 3D. So you may have to re-rig a character if you did do the former and rig it as a 2D character. Okay, so also I thought I'd cover, someone asked a question about the bug animation that I did at the beginning. And real quickly, I can show you how. Let's go to After Effects, and I have a composition made already with the bug. And what the bug is just, go in the custom view here and rotate. It's just a few layers. For the body, I just used one simple layer, and then multiplied it. Let's zoom in here. Too close, too close. For the purpose of how simple the bug was, I just multiplied the layer and just moved it in Z depth, and then for one of these layers, I just rotated it so that it filled in any of the gaps, so that from any angle it looked like it had a solid body. And then the wings, I just each layer I just animated with a awesome little, if you don't know about this, if you wanted to have keyframes loop continuously, just make it so that the first keyframe and the last keyframe are the same. And then if you alt click on the stopwatch and go to the little sidebar here, go up to property and loop out, and that will just continue those keyframes for eternity. Cool. So we have that animation, and I made it a comp that was rasterized the layers and made it a 3D layer. And a cool trick that you can do if you have CS6 or above, you can create an null object, and I'm going to delete this one just to show. We're going to hide this. Go ahead and create a new null object, and if you go to Window, open up the Motion Sketch tab, and it usually comes down here in the bottom corner. Take a look at it. I added a smoothing to it, and this will smooth out the keyframes because we're gonna, use our mouse to actually draw a path. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. So if I hit Start Capture, and it starts as soon as I click down on the left mouse button. So I want them to enter here. Oh, and it stopped. Waited too long. So I want them to enter here. So I draw it. He's going around, and there we go. That was the life of this, my composition here. So I have my null object doing that thing. Cool. So if I hit P, I can see the keyframes that it's making, and it's automatically doing the Bezier to the keyframes because I enabled the smoothing. Cool. So let's take these keyframes, click on the position, Control C or Command C, and then click on your bug composition or whatever you have it. Oops. Control V, and I pasted over my previous. There we go. Clear out those keyframes. Control V, and duplicated those keyframes. Cool. So let's hide the null object, and here we go. And just like that, you can have a bug or fly or whatever you want flying around your scene. It adds a great little atmospheric subtlety. So that's looking cool. You also want to make sure that your layer follows the path. So if you right click on your composition, go to transform and auto orient, make sure orient along path is selected, and it may bring in your, let's see if I set all these to 0. So it may bring in your composition all weird like. You just have to adjust until it looks like it should be going that way along the path, and it will accordingly go that way. So there. Alright, awesome. So if you have any more questions about this 2.5D character head rig, go ahead and leave them in the comments below, and I'll try to do my best and answer them. Make sure you also follow me on Twitter at Mr. Clay Media, also on Instagram at the same handle, and make sure to like my Facebook page at facebook.com/Mr. Clay Media. Alright guys, I will see you on the next tutorial.